a great opportunity in a welcome message. Your new connections, if they accept your connection request or you accept theirs, it's just, this is really humanizing your connection. And for a lot of us, believe it or not, sending a video message is easier than typing. It's, just have a little script-ish ready. Great to be connected. Personalize it, but know what you're going to say. And, ultimately, you will connect in a human to human way.
Welcome to the Making Sales Social podcast, featuring the top voices in sales, marketing, and business. Join Bryn Tillman, Stan Robinson Jr., and me, Bob Woods, as we each bring you the best tips and strategies our guests are teaching their clients so you can leverage them for your own virtual and social selling. Enjoy the show. Welcome, all y'all, to Social Live, coming to you from the Social Sales Link virtual studios. I'm Bob Woods, and I'm joined by my SSL teammates, Bryn Tillman and Stan Robinson. How y'all doing?
Howdy.
Hey,
howdy.
Bob and Stan. Outstanding.
Outstanding. That is
Yes.
outstanding that we're all outstanding. So today we're diving into 11 essential LinkedIn tips that every sales professional should know. So whether you're a seasoned LinkedIn user or just starting to leverage the platform, we have tips and actionable insights to help you optimize your profile, create valuable connections, engaging meaningful conversations to elevate your sales game. All of that, and as they say in the biz, much, much more. We've got lots of great stuff for you today. So we're just going to dive headfirst into this deep end of knowledge. So Stan, let's go with you first, and let's talk a little bit about converting your profile from a resume to a resource.
So one of the common tendencies with our profiles is a lot of people tend to think of LinkedIn as their online resume because I haven't heard any different. In sales, you want to make sure that your profile positions you as a resource for your ideal audience rather than looking like you're looking for your job. Take advantage of the space, your banner. If you have a marketing team that can put together a great banner for you, it'll help you brand yourself more effectively. Also consider your headline. Most people just put their title in their headline. And if all account executive or quota crushing sales rep, it doesn't do a lot for you in terms of bringing value to your audience. So think about your value proposition when you're putting together your headline. You want, when people come to your profile, as they inevitably will if they're considering doing business with you or your company, you want them to think of someone they can turn to for advice, not someone who's looking for an opportunity to sell them. So that's what your headline does, your banner does, your about section where you talk about your audience and the value that you bring to them, your featured section, etc. So I'm going to end there because this time's going to go by really quick. But any other thoughts either of you have on the profile?
I think that what you said is spot on. And I think the goal really is, and you said this early on, the goal of the profile is you need to shift it from a resume to a resource. Your LinkedIn profile is your mini landing page. And when your prospect gets here, when they land there and they begin to start to consume the content, this is the opportunity where you get to earn the right to get the conversation. So when you can add value right from your profile, folks are much more likely to want to have a conversation with you. So I love that, Stan. That was perfect.
And I'm going to add to that just a little bit because sometimes when someone reads your content, they just may be interested in you in general without necessarily thinking that, I may want to actually talk with this person a little more and hire them. But once they get to the profile, because it's built in that resource driven way, at that point, they may start
Mhm.
thinking, "Oh, you know something? After reading the profile, I may actually wanna reach out to this person." So always keep that in mind too, is that, your profile can actually work for you to get people thinking differently about their situation, and because of that, they may wanna reach out to you at that point.
Love it. Wow,
Exactly.
all that for number 1, and we have 10 more to go.
I know. So let's keep this show on the road with specifically talking about connecting here, Stan. I know you've got some thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best advice I've heard on connecting and who to connect with is the way that you would deal with people online should be the exact same way that you deal with them in person. So if you meet someone at a networking meeting and they are someone that you can bring value to or can bring value to you, that's the type of person you want to add to your LinkedIn network. Because people always ask, well, how do I decide who to add to my network? Best rule of thumb is if you'd add them in real life, add them on LinkedIn. So people you meet at networking meetings, past colleague, one that you have a good relationship. And I always suggest real life, add them on LinkedIn because one of the things that you do not know is who they know. And you may never do business with your uncle, but your uncle may know someone that you've been trying to get in front of for a sales opportunity. Without LinkedIn, you'd never be able to see that though. So those are just a couple of thoughts.
I love that. I've been known to connect with people using the LinkedIn app while I'm in line at the grocery store. So like I just if I have a great conversation, sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm part of the West Orange Chamber of Commerce. We've got great events. Sounds like you've got a small business. I'd love to invite you out as my guest. So I will typically connect in a way that is beneficial to them first,
Mhm.
but connect nonetheless. And so I also agree, Stan, go through all of your real life in-person connections and make sure that you're connected on LinkedIn. So I love that advice. Bob, I'll toss that to you to finish it out.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrific. And the only thing I'm going to add to that is, assuming that I'm feeling well tomorrow, I've got a LinkedIn Live event here locally here in Lexington, and if you're in the Lexington area, definitely inviting you to all that, and would love to meet you for that. So, next, Bryn, let's talk a little bit about learning about your buyers, which, you should know about your buyers already, but even if you do, using LinkedIn to actually learn more about your buyers, if you already know about your buyers, I think is always a good thing.
Well, yeah, I'm a big fan of pre-call planning. Back in the day when I started in sales, I literally would go to like an office complex and I'd knock on doors. Like I look at all the names on the sign and all of um the suite numbers, and then I'd go in and I'd look around and I'd look at the awards they've won, and if I did get into an office I'd look at their kids and their vacations, and right, and so that's all the content that I would use to start rapport building, right? Now there's so many other options. We have this virtual office where we can explore before we ever even reach out to them. So we can see what content are they engaging with? Who are they connected to that we share connections with? What influencers do they follow? I mean, there's so many things that we can learn from them. How do they describe themselves in their experience section? What keywords are they putting in their skills section? Who's recommended them? Who have they recommended? So simply by taking a deep dive, and I say a deep dive, you can find 2 or 3 things in 2 or 3 minutes before every call that will help you build
Mhm.
rapport. So I highly recommend that social listening piece for pre-call planning is really important. The other things you can find are industry trends. While LinkedIn has sort of downplayed hashtags, you can still use hashtags to find content. So make sure you spend a little time researching your prospects before you reach out to them.
Yeah.
I'll hand it to one of the two of you to finish us out.
Yes, I mean, and if you happen to be on Sales Navigator, the Account IQ tool, at least as far as researching the company, is extremely powerful. And Bob, I'll
Agreed.
send it back to you.
And you are muted.
Yeah, I am
Yeah,
muted, and I'm dealing with a little technical thing on my side. Plus, I've got a cold, so I think we're just going to go ahead and move
move it.
on here. So we are moving through, and we're going to get into a little bit more content at this point. So, Stan's got some thoughts about creating thought-provoking content with your point of view.
Yes, and we talk about content curation because one of the challenges that a lot of folks in sales have with posting content is they may think they have to generate it themselves. Whereas you don't have to create the content yourself. You can find content, and you can use LinkedIn to do this, from industry influencers, thought leaders that matter to your prospective customers, and share content from them that brings value to your audience. Now, what you do need to do is add your take on the content. So you definitely want to make sure that the content resonates with your audience, that it creates some curiosity, that through your comments, in addition to what you're sharing, you educate them about something new and get them thinking differently. And then sharing the content and perhaps asking for their feedback as far as a call to action. So those are just a couple of thoughts on curated content. You don't have to be a content creator to start with. If you don't like to write or do videos, you can simply curate content, which is a fancy way of saying share other people's content that's helpful to your audience. Toss it to you,
Yeah, and I'll
Bob and
add,
Bryn.
I'll add, if you're on the free LinkedIn, ring the bell of your prospects and your influencers, because then you don't have to worry about finding content in the news feed when specific people share content where of whom you've rung the bell. It will come into your notifications. The other thing most people don't realize you can do is if you go up to your search bar and you hit enter, you can search by posts. So you can search posts by date, by recent. So there's a lot of different ways to curate that content right inside of LinkedIn.
And then the only thing I'll add is when you are curating content, don't just repost. I mean, add value to it. And actually, when I did this morning, I wasn't even expecting this to come up, but I actually reposted a video from Alex Sheridan, who I've interviewed several times. He actually has a video about how he learned about a business coach so much from this coach's video content specifically that by the time Alex actually started talking to him, Alex was ready to sign based on just the content alone. Now, I added value to that in my repost of his by just simply saying, hey, you can do this with any type of content. It doesn't have to be just video. So, I mean, there was like a little nugget of additional value there, but I think and I hope that it was enough to where, I proved that I am the go-to person, hopefully in what we do. I'm also promoting Alex because he's just tremendous when it comes to
Yes,
video,
go
and
follow
hopefully
Alex.
people get yeah, and hopefully people will get something out of that as well. Yeah, so I'm dealing with this right now. Doug, I have no idea what's going on, why it's not showing at the original link. It's not showing at the original link. I apologize. We don't know what happened. We're just dealing with this and going forward. So you're just going to have to excuse us. This is live. We don't know what happened. So, but you're here now, and that's the important part. So we're going to get back into the discussion now. I want to get into one of my favorite topics, which is creating content that doesn't just sit there, it actually earns you conversations. So it's not enough to just put out content just for the sake of posting. If you're, if you put something out and you're like, "Oh, I'm done for the week, thank God," or "Oh, I'm done for the month, thank God." Not sure why it would be a month, but you know what I'm saying. Your content should be thought-provoking, educational, and most importantly, it should spark curiosity. So when you create content that teaches your buyers something new or gets them thinking about their situation in a different way, you're not just sharing information. What you're really doing is opening the door to deeper conversations with your audience of prospects. And that's where the magic happens in social selling. And your content is hopefully leading to having those conversations happen offline, whether it's a phone call, a Zoom, in person meeting, like that type of thing. So think about the content you're producing right now. Does it leave people curious? Does it make them want to reach out and learn more? If not, you got to shift those gears and start developing content that not only informs them, but intrigues them to the point where they want more. And then to actually get them to talk to you to get to that more. So I've mentioned this a little bit already, but your goal is to be that go to resource in the minds of your audience of prospects. You want them excited so that you are that person that they can't wait to engage with. Stan, what do you think about that?
Yep, perfect. The only thing that I have to remember, because I know I've been guilty of this, is posting and then forgetting to check back on people's
Mm.
comments.
Yes.
Because when people do engage with your posts, you want to make sure that you reply and keep the conversation going. So as you said, Bob, the whole goal is to get into deeper conversations.
Yeah,
Yep.
sometimes when oh, go ahead, Bob.
Oh, no, no, no. I just said, Brent, go ahead.
Oh, yay. So sometimes when I put out content, I will have a follow-up piece. So I might put out, like, for example, maybe, we're doing 11 LinkedIn tips, but I may put out one LinkedIn tip, and the people that comment, I'll say, hey, we've got an ebook or a LinkedIn Live coming up. If you're interested, that has 10 more tips in addition to this. And so it gives you a purpose to start a conversation in the inbox, to take it to that next level, that next call to action. So often we used to call it the 1-2 punch, but I don't think I like punching. So I'm not sure what I want to call it now. So
Mhm.
but it's, you get them interested in a little bit and then you offer a lot or you offer more. And that's how you also begin to earn the right to get those conversations. So all good stuff. What number are we on?
All good stuff. So we are now on number 6. So we have crossed the halfway point, which is always a good thing. So next we're going to talk about engaging on influencer posts. So this is when you are actually commenting on someone else's post, and we're specifically going to be talking about those influencers. In this context, an influencer is someone who's recognized as a thought leader or authority in your industry. So, in other words, it ain't Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, all those type of people. Your influencers are the people whose posts and opinions carry weight in what you do and what your audience of prospects does as well. And they often have a large engaged following. So, this is one of the most underrated yet powerful strategies you can use to expand your network and build credibility. And there are influencers in every industry and vertical. Your job is to find them and then engage with their content. So when you comment on posts from these influencers, you're not just adding to the conversation, you're positioning yourself as someone who's informed, relevant, and engaged. Now, here's the kicker.
Mhm.
When you're engaging, don't just engage with the influencer. And when you do engage with the influencer, you should be engaging with the types of comments that add value to whatever it is that the influencer is already talking about. So definitely do that. What you need to do is go a step further and engage with the commenters on those posts as
Mhm.
well. That's because those people are part of your potential network too. So engaging with everyone is a great way to get on the radar of other professionals who are actively participating in the same conversations that matter to you and your industry. So when you're thoughtful in your engagement, when you add value, people do take notice. And that opens the door for future conversations and opportunities to start conversations with those prospects without being salesy. And that's the important part too, I think, without being salesy.
I love that. And I'm going to kind of go back to that 1-2 punch again without being punchy. So let's say, and I'm engaging. So Mark Hunter shares a wonderful post. Lots of people are engaging that are my ideal prospects. So I engage with them. And now what I do is I go find another podcast episode that Mark was on, or content that I have now consumed and engaged and know is great. Now I could say, hey, really got some value from this post from Mark Hunter. I see you did too. I'm not sure, have you seen his, or have you listened to his podcast that he did with Meredith a couple weeks ago on X topic? And then, so now they're like, oh, I haven't. Well, if you're open, let's connect. I can send you a link, right? And so now we're creating conversation around the shared Taylor Swift, right? Whatever that is, the Mark Hunter, right? So it's not, hey, have you heard her new release? It's, have you heard his new podcast interview, or whatever that might be. And so when you do that, just to your exact point, Bob, when you do that, you are starting conversations around a topic that you have in common, or a person that you have in common. So it's just a natural conversation where your focus is not about prospecting and telling them about all the great things you can sell them. It's around a topic that you have in common, so you're building rapport. So I often, when I do this prospect by influencer, I am really prepared with a second piece of content to follow up with in all those people engaging. Here's a major bonus that most people don't even know exists. So there's a difference between connections and followers. So as a LinkedIn member, you can have up to 30,000 connections, but you can have unlimited followers. I don't know how many followers Mark Hunter has, maybe 150,000 or more. He's got a lot. I can go in the free LinkedIn, and I can identify all my first degree connections that follow Mark, and my second degree connections that follow Mark. And I can actually add other filters. So maybe I only want people that follow Mark in sales, or in SaaS, or in whatever industry or other filters there are. So I can now go out and proactively reach out to these people with that podcast link. Hey, I noticed you follow Mark, really listen to this great podcast. Let me know if you're interested. I'm happy to send you a link. And now you're starting conversation. So that was sort of a side note bonus on that.
Very good. Very nice. Stan, do you have anything additional there?
There were some great nuggets there. We can keep moving. Yep.
All right,
That
let's
was
move
awesome.
along. So, yeah, so with this one, we're gonna go to kind of the next step, but definitely zero in on things a little bit more, and that's regarding using LinkedIn's mobile app to send personalized video messages within LinkedIn. Now, for me, this is where things really get interesting. I'm a big fan of using video and messaging because let's face it, hardly anyone's using video for messaging on LinkedIn. And that's a sentence I've been saying for a couple of years now, and yet no one still does it. But you know something? Because hardly anyone uses it, that's why it works. You're going to stand out from the sea of generic texting type messages people get bombarded with every single day. Now, the key here is to make it personal, though. You're mentioning their name. You're maybe referencing something from a previous interaction or from a piece of content they shared, or maybe you've seen something in their profile. That's what makes it feel genuine and not like another automated pitch. Because you know why? It is genuine. A quick, no more than 30 seconds, shorter if you can, personalized video can make a huge difference in grabbing their attention. So, use it to take a moment to reintroduce yourself, highlight something specific to them, something of value to them, and offer a clear reason for the message as well. It shows that you've taken the time to connect on a human level, and that's what's really going to set you apart. Plus, it's pretty easy to do. You can do all of this straight from the LinkedIn app on your phone. So there's no excuse not to give it a try. Trust me, you'll be surprised at how effective this approach can be in re-engaging your connection, Stan. What do you think?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, when it's something that I need to do more, when I have done it, I remember messaging one person as far as an interview, and he said, "This is the best outreach of this." So, as you said, Bob, it's something that differentiates you because most people are not doing it, and it's so personal. So, Bryn, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, I'll add, this is a great opportunity in a welcome message. Your new connections, if they accept your connection request or you accept theirs, it's just, this is really humanizing your connection. And for a lot of us, believe it or not, sending a video message is easier than typing. It's, just have a little script-ish ready, great to be connected, personalize it, but know what you're going to say. And, ultimately, you will connect in a human to human way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So speaking of, that tailored kind of thing, Brent, talk to us a little bit about sharing tailored insights to start conversations, which actually is kind of a continuation or could be from our video point here.
See, and all I hear is Taylor Swift. And
Ah!
so how do I use her music to start conversations? Um, just side note, my daughter and two of her friends flew to London to see Taylor Swift. That's
crazy.
it's such a big thing. Okay. So I think that wasn't your question. Your question is, how do you tailor what insights? See, I got
Insight, yeah.
Okay, so there are so many different ways to tailor insights. And I would say you go back to that social listening piece, the research piece. How do we tailor content that's meaningful to them? And it starts with the research. It starts with understanding what content matters to them. And I'm going to say one of the things that I've been starting to do, and I have not done this consistently because I'm just kind of playing with it a little bit, is so I'm going to go back to the Mark Hunter, right? So we're engaging Mark Hunter. That was tailored based on who they're following. And then I might say, who else do you follow? I'm curious. Who else do you follow? Or I can look at their LinkedIn profile and see other people that they follow. And, the tailored insights really comes down to this. There is absolutely no way automation could have created what you just sent them. That's the importance of it. Don't try to fake tailored insights with automation. That's not, in our view, truly tailored or personalized. So I would say that, like, when it comes down to tailoring insights, it really has to be personal, based on their profile, their industry, their interests. And that's how you start trust-based conversations without being salesy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now whenever I use the word tailored, I'm going to start thinking about Taylor Swift now as well, thanks to that one. So thank you for that, Bren. That will live in my brain forever. So, next we're going to talk about using LinkedIn polls to start conversations. I love LinkedIn polls. I should do more of them. I think that they're more impactful now because when polls first started, everyone and their brother did them, and I think people got a little pulled out, for lack of a better phrase. But now I'm seeing a lot more very targeted, very impactful polls where people are asking a lot of good questions. Bren, what do you think?
Well, you know that polls are near and dear to my heart. I love
Yes.
polls on so many levels. But here's the thing. Just because you publish a poll doesn't mean that you're going to get hundreds of votes, and you may get dozens, but it may not even be the right people voting. So we're really serious about prospecting by poll in using it in a very specific way. So we create a poll that focuses on 3 areas. Number 1, it resonates with the people that we want to vote. If it's too general, we're going to get tons of people that are not necessarily the right people, right? So if we're looking for folks responsible for business development, we want to say, in whether it's in the poll question or in the text, that this is who it's for. So that's number 1. The second thing it needs to do is be a question that your target audience wants to see how other people are voting. Why? This is something that LinkedIn is brilliant at. They will show you how many people have voted, but you can't see the breakdown until you vote. So the question has to create FOMO, fear of missing out, fear of not knowing. So you have to make sure that that question is not just about the vote the discovery question that you want to learn about. It's got to be a question that they want to see how they're benchmarking to their peers. Really important to get the right people to vote. And number 3, we need to search our connections to identify who we want to vote on this, and then invite them. And at the bottom of the poll, or any post that you do personally, not from a company page, but personally, there's a share button where you can get this into 10 inboxes, blind copied at a time, and we can invite them to vote. So if let's say we've done this specifically for CROs, Chief Revenue Officers, we're going to look at all of our Chief Revenue Officers and send 10 blind copy at a time. You can't say their name, but you can say, as a Chief Revenue Officer, your one-click vote would be valuable. Once the poll closes, I'll be happy to share the insights and where you benchmark to your peers. And then you're inviting the right people to vote on this poll. And now we're truly leveraging that poll for prospecting.
Yeah.
You're muted, Bob.
We're muted again. I keep coughing and I keep forgetting to unmute. So I think especially because we are going long, let's just go right into number 11, Bryn, with the classic warm market scenario of identifying who in your network is connected to target buyers.
So your social proximity is everything, right, on LinkedIn. And this is really your second degree connections. And it's about mapping out who knows who you want to know and leverage your relationships to get those introductions or permission to name drop. Even in the free LinkedIn, you have the ability to search and filter your connections. So whether you do a general second degree connection search, or you search a specific connections, you can leverage your relationships to gain access to these buyers and influencers and stakeholders. So this is the reason I decided to go all in on LinkedIn. I was a partner in a sales training company where we did, soup to nuts, so that, the whole program. And I was okay at negotiation and overcoming objections. But when I saw the power of LinkedIn in this exact way, the ability to search and filter your connections, it was a game changer. And this is why LinkedIn is the most powerful sales tool in the world. There is no other tool that will give you your own pathway to your buyers, right? You can buy Zoom info and you could get emails and you could get, go down into persona, but there is no other tool in the world that will map out your pathway to that buyer influencer. And so by far, the most powerful insights of any sales tool out there, any cadence tool, any CRM. Nothing beats who I know that knows who I want to know, because then I can have a conversation and either get introductions or permission to name drop. And mic drop.
Mic drop. And the mic needs to be on for the mic drop. So I just turned mine back on. So we've covered some, we hope, are incredibly effective strategies for you for leveraging LinkedIn to build relationships and spark conversations that lead to sales. Remember, it's all about providing value, being authentic, and making those personal connections that truly resonate. So thanks for everything, guys. Appreciate you. Appreciate y'all coming as usual, as always. And thank you, everyone, for joining this episode of Making Sales Social Live. If you're with us live on LinkedIn or any other social network, we do this every week, so keep an eye out for our live sessions. If you're listening to us on our podcast and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe, follow, whatever button that you need to do to access all of our previous shows and be alerted when new ones drop. socialsaleslink.com/podcast is where you can find out more information on exactly what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. So when you are out and about this week and any week, be sure that you are making your sales
Social.
maybe staggering it might be the better way to do it from here on out. I kind of liked how that worked. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great week. Bye-bye. Don't miss an episode. Visit socialsaleslink.com/podcast. Leave a review down below. Tell us what you think, what you learned, and what you want to hear from us next. Register for free resources at linkedinlibrary.com. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. Visit our website, socialsaleslink.com, for more information.